Hello, my name is Mr. Cousins and I'm the curriculum lead for art and design, including health and social care. I'd like to introduce you to the second subject that falls into my leadership, which is food preparation and nutrition. You'll find that a regular word and quality runs through the subjects within my department, and food and nutrition is none less. Passion and commitment with dedication is required throughout the 2-year course, in and out of the classroom. Food and being able to create meals are a passion that I also share. The enjoyment and excitement of making a creative, tasty, healthy, and eye-catching food product from ingredients is rewarding and equally pleasing when this is shared and enjoyed by those you have made it for. Demonstrating empathy and humanity within your ingredient choices to allow people of different nationalities, specific dietary requirements, and where ingredients are sourced from are crucial for this subject. Resilience is also required. Being able to adapt, develop, improve, and refine practical skills and achievements is an important aspect of the course. I've cooked many products over the years, many successful, but many others have required improvement. You also have to demonstrate resilience within your theory aspect of the course. Food and nutrition is equally balanced between practical and theory, examination and written activities. I look forward to and will happily volunteer myself as a human guinea pig, and I'm very willing to trial, taste, and offer feedback on your practical outcomes. I'd now like to hand over to Mr. Isaacs, who will talk more in depth about the food and nutrition qualification. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cousins. So, the EduCast GCSE Food Preparation and Nutrition course is a very practical course. There is an expectation that you will be cooking during the course of this course, roughly once every other week, so once a fortnight. There will be periods where we do 3 or 4 weeks of back-to-back cooking. There will be periods where we do 3 or 4 weeks of back-to-back theory. It does depend on how the timetable falls, but there is that expectation that you are going to be able to cook at least once a fortnight. So why should we study food and nutrition? Well, it's a very, very practical subject, and it's assessed predominantly or 50% through practical work that you do here at school. Now, an understanding of food and nutrition has become a lot more relevant recently. We've had some very big government drives and policies about food and nutrition, particularly things like the recent sugar tax that have come in, where food manufacturers have been forced to find ways to lower the sugar content of their drinks, but still maintain that sweetness. It's one of the reasons why you may have found that you've paid slightly more for a particular soft drink when you've gone and bought your fast food meal. So there's a lot of emphasis in terms of that healthy eating, but there's a lot of careers and job roles within the food and nutrition sector. Whenever anybody mentions of working with food, we automatically think of a chef. However, that's just one little aspect of the industry. You might be working as a restaurant manager, you might be working as a nutritionist in a hospital, you might be working as a sports coach or a fitness instructor. Those people having some nutritional knowledge is very, very vital. Fitness instructor trying to advise you on how to become a lot more healthy if they've got no understanding of nutrition could be potentially quite dangerous. So there's a lot of opportunities within that sector in terms of being able to forge out a potential career. So let's just have a look at some of those. So at post 16, this course links in really, really nicely with the level 3 food science that we run, but you can also go away to places like Tresham to study BTEC hospitality and BTEC catering. You can go on to do degrees after that, so you can go to places like Sheffield or Reading. They're the 2 big places that offer those degrees in food and nutrition, public health and nutrition, or like I did a food science and technology degree. Worked in the food industry for a while and then moved into teaching. If you go into the public sector, what you'll often find is some of those public sector companies, and even in the private sector, will help you to achieve some of those post-16 and degree study courses. Healthcare nutritionist, you'd be expected to have that course, but for example, a catering manager probably expected to have the BTECs at least. Teacher would be required to have a degree, but in the armed forces, they would put you through those BTEC hospitality and catering while you get paid as part of your basic training. They would also put you through a degree if you were going for slightly higher ranks. And in the private sector, restaurant and kitchen manager, sports nutritionist. Sports nutrition has become very, very important recently. It just used to be the preserve of particularly the elite sports at Premier League level and Premiership rugby level. But now it's cascaded all the way down to the lower leagues, and also for people like Team GB in terms of managing their pre-match or pre-fitness, pre-event nutrition, and then that post-event recovery, because that's equally as important to help your body to recover from whatever activity that you've been doing. Being able to plan menus and understanding how things work and how the nutrition work is really important, as is when you do food consultancy. So the assessment for this subject falls into 3 key assessments, and we spend year 10 building up to these because these 3 assessments happen in year 11. So the first assessment that you do at the start of year 11, starting about mid to late September, is a food science investigation, and the exam board pose a scenario, you investigate it and come back with an answer. Now, there is no right or wrong answer here. It could be that they ask you to investigate the best fat for making pastry, and you come up with a completely different fat that you prefer compared to the person who works in the same kitchen as you. Now, there's not a particular best fat, for example, for making pastry, but what is important is that you go through and you have a look at the science behind how that ingredient is used within that product. So to quote an example from earlier when we talked about the soft drinks, looking at sugar reduction, really, really important. There's not one particular sugar replacer that we would recommend above another because it depends on the product that you're working with. You've then got a practical exam where you make 3 food items in a 3-hour session. And that's the one that everybody really worries about. But actually, it's really quite simple if you target your skills correctly. Because what the exam board do is they will give you a brief. So we've had briefs in the past around street food and celebration food, which really are very, very open and allow you to showcase your skills. So we're expecting students to be able to, for example, fillet a fish or joint a chicken, make their own pasta, things like that. It may be that you make a starter, a main and a dessert. It could be that you make 2 mains and a dessert. There's no right or wrong approach with that, but what is important is you showcase your skills. Now, the exam board talk about high level skills. Please don't be worried if you're vegetarian or vegan, because actually you can still achieve those high level skills by being vegetarian and vegan, by adapting and overcoming and trying different things. So you don't necessarily have to work with meat to access those higher level skills. Now, that food science investigation is worth 15% and the practical exam is worth 35%. So those 2 assessments that are done here at school together add up to make 50% of your final grade. So if you do really, really well on those, your written exam will then allow you to access the higher marks. So what we try and say to students is try and get 40% out of the 50% available, and that puts you in a really, really good position to access grades 7, 8 and 9. So grades 7, 8 and 9, we've always got students achieving those grades each year. And it is, if you're focused and you work hard, that they will slot into place. And what we also find is the students who are making the links between their option subjects. So, for example, there's a lot of the content that we do in here that actually links into health and social care, for example, when we talk about nutrition and diet through life. When we look at the science behind cooking, there's a lot of crossover into food science. When we talk about nutrition, there's also a lot of sports nutrition if you're doing GCSE PE or sports studies. So lots and lots of crossover. So specification at a glance, these are the things that we're going to cover. Your practical making skills. As I said, you will be cooking at least once a fortnight, so you do need to be prepared to bring your ingredients in and work in those practical sessions. And then we build on a lot of your key knowledge from year 7, 8 and 9 in terms of the theory content, the key nutrients, all the stuff that you do throughout year 9 on diet and good health. the science of cooking. And again, that's assessed through one of the food science investigations. And you've done some of those this year. For example, the scone making investigation, where you have a look at the best raising agent to make scones, is actually based on a past GCSE paper that was set for year 11. And that's, again, as you probably found with that, there was no right or wrong answer. What you decided was the best raising agent. Somebody else may well disagree with, but the process is really important. You've then got the food hygiene and safety management that we've always kind of impressed upon you throughout year 7, 8 and 9. And then we've got the food science investigations, your practical stuff again. So further information about the course, we do the Educas exam board, and the website there is there on the screen for you to visit. And the book that we use is the one that's also pictured there. We do have that available as a digital copy, so you get the access to that with a username and password at the start of year 10, and that's got stuff that extends all the stuff that we do in class, including exam type questions, kind of food science investigations to help you understand a lot more content. And that digital copy can be accessed using a laptop, a tablet, smartphone. So any kind of electrical device that can access the internet will allow you to see all of that. So if you want any information or a bit more of a chat, come and find me, Mr. Isaacs. There's my email address on the screen as well. Just be careful with the spelling. I know some people do struggle with the spelling of it. So if you're using your school email, you should be able to find me in that search, or just click on my name on the school website. But do come and have a chat if you are thinking of doing it. It is a highly practical subject. We do a lot of cooking, and you know, it's a good course. If nothing else, if you don't take it any further, at least you can show that you're able to cook and prepare a good range of meals at the end of the course. Okay, thank you very much, guys.